Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Our show today brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. So thanks to them. I don't want to knock over my coffee. That would add to our Monday. Time to get to our top plays. Brought to you by Potocki Orthodontics. They have 3 locations: Grass Lake, Coldwater, Hillsdale. So thank you to Potocki Orthodontics. Improve your smile with Potocki Orthodontics. All right, let's get right into it. Number 5, let's go to the second half. 2:17 left in the third quarter. Jaden Willis, number 21 for the Panthers, stepping up big for them. He had a nice long run here for them to set them up inside the 30-yard line, and eventually Western would score on that later in that drive. So that's at number 5. Jaden Willis also had an interception. We'll hear that later in our top play segment. At number 4, early in the game, first quarter, 6:21 left. Marshall defense coming up big. Adam, you mentioned it earlier when we were talking about the game. Western really had a few mistakes, and this was one of them. Marshall defense forced the fumble and recovered. So
that's what made me think that, there's that, and, a play that I don't see on here that I do want to have an honorable mention for is definitely that onside kick. That would be the other big mistake.
Yes, I forgot about that onside kick.
And to me, that was a mistake more than anything for Western. That I don't remember what player it was, but that bounced right off of his hands, almost off of his helmet, I think, right?
His chest.
Yeah. So I'll give an honorable mention to that. But those are the mistakes that I'm talking about. That if Western can clean that up, they will be dominant.
All right, at number 3, back to our first quarter, later in the quarter, 4:50 to play. Jaden Willis, again, number 21, just mentioned him. He had that interception. Jaden Willis all over the field. He really had a great night at one of the running backs for the Panthers on offense, and then an interception on defense as well. So that is at number 3, Jaden Willis. And number 2, in the third quarter, going back and forth, the way I set it up here, first half and second half. Number 2, third quarter, 2:55 mark. Maverick Hammond, one of 3 touchdown passes he caught from his buddy Brody Vitito. Number 9, Maverick Hammond, and the Western Panthers rolling 28-8. And this had to be the number 1 play, if we had to pick one by far. Number quarter 2. Wow, 5:07 left. DJ Van Riper had the pick 6 for the Panthers, and from there on, that added on to the scoring for Western, and I really felt like you could tell that the game was over at that point. So
yeah, you can't throw a pick 6 in that situation. And just to tag on to the previous play, that catch was great. That was a great throw. But I agree with you. This should be the top play. This really changed that game and really kind of put Western out in front and was starting to make it difficult for Marshall to come back after that.
And that's our number 1 play, and that's our top 5 plays of the week. So thank you to Potocki Orthodontics, 3 locations in Grass Lake, Coldwater, and Hillsdale. Hey, Tigers, they took 2 of 3 from the Orioles. We'll talk about them when we come back. They're now 77-73. We've got more of the show brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency coming up next. Welcome back here on JTV. I'm David Rice. Our show today brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency and Potocki Orthodontics. Hey, the Tigers over the weekend took 2 of 3 from the Orioles. I'll be honest. Last week when we were doing our schedule predictions, Adam, I said we were going to lose all 3 to the Orioles.
How do you feel now?
I'm glad I was wrong.
I'm glad you're wrong,
too. 2 of 3 from the Orioles.
Yeah, man. I mean, we were playing great. I mean, obviously I would have loved to have swept them, but I'm super happy how we're playing. We are playing like what Dan Dickerson said during the broadcast. We were playing our best baseball of the year at the perfect time.
Yeah, absolutely. 77-73. Still 2.5 games back of the last wild card spot. Starting tonight, Monday, they are at Kansas City until Wednesday. That's a big one against a division rival.
For sure. And I will tell you this, unfortunately, if there's a game we're going to lose in this series, it will be tonight because their ace is on the mound. Our pitcher is still undecided, and it's almost 1 o'clock, and their game starts at 7. So that's not the greatest thing in the world. But,
between one of these 3 games, Skubal has to be on the mound.
For sure. And I think
that's
a
no-brainer.
I think it's not the next game, but the one after, I think, will be Skubal.
Okay.
But Lugo, that's going to be a tough matchup. So if we win this one, though, oh boy, is it looking good. We might be able to leave here with a sweep, which would be gigantic against a playoff-bound Kansas City Royals team.
And if the Twins drop a game, the Tigers
that's real
may
big.
take that last spot going into the weekend series at Camden.
And it's not like they have an easy series. They got to face the division leader right now, the Guardians. So they don't have an easy series. So I'd love to see
even
them
though
go
the
down.
Guardians are a division rival, we're pulling for them to beat the Twins because the Guardians have nothing to do with the Tigers.
They are my least favorite team in baseball. I've always disliked them. They've always been a division rival, and I remember those days of like Jim Tomei and stuff just killing us. So I always have a thing against them, but I'm rooting for them tonight, which is a crazy thing for me to say.
And then they, of course, play at Camden Yards, playing Baltimore Friday through Sunday. And then next week, they are at home for 6 games to wrap up the season. 3 again versus Kansas City, and then 3 easy ones against the White Sox.
I did check. Wednesday will be Skubal. We will have Skubal pitching on Wednesday against Marsh. So that should be a good win for us, I hope, as long as our bats show up, because we know Skubal's going to show up.
I mean, because he's the best pitcher in baseball. We know he's showing up.
Yeah.
Is he a lock for Cy Young? Is that pretty much a unanimous thing?
Yeah, I'm pretty certain that the sports books will not let you bet on it anymore, so that should tell you how much of a favorite he should be. And the closest to him for a while was Corbin Burns. Corbin Burns is a great pitcher, but if you look at his numbers, it's not close. You just wouldn't be able to. I think the only race that's really in question right now, and I wouldn't even really question it, would be the NL Rookie of the Year race. I doubt it's Paul Skeens anyway. So, but yeah, that'd probably be the only race. Cy Young, I feel like that's locked down. And obviously your MVPs will be Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge. I don't think there's a question there.
Right. I watched before the Sunday night game was on last night. I watched the first couple innings on ESPN, the Braves and the Dodgers on Sunday Night Baseball. Shohei, he obviously wasn't pitching last night because he was the leadoff hitter. I haven't watched enough of that team. I didn't know they are having Shohei lead off the order. That is wild.
1 and 2.
A pitcher. Usually, he's a pitcher.
Well, here's the thing, right? So this year he has not pitched a single game because of the injury. He's coming off of, I think it was it Tommy John? I can't remember exactly what it was.
I forgot about the surgery I was going to say.
So he hasn't pitched, but me and Brandon were talking about this actually at the Western Marshall game before it started, that they are thinking about potentially having him pitch in the playoffs, which I think is a great decision. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball, and they are the favorites going in. But the question is, when do you start him? If he hasn't had a game all year, do you start him? And then what kind of game do you start him? Do you trust him in a game 7, like a deciding game 5? Where would you use him?
Do you think they should use him in the last couple of games of the regular season out of the bullpen just to get some reps before they fully put him into a playoff game 5 or 6 and he's on the mound?
My big thing was I almost don't want to treat him as a reliever. I want him to keep his routine.
I know he's not a reliever. He's one of the best pitchers in baseball.
For sure. But, pitchers are a creature of habit. He might be different, but pitchers are a creature of habit. And, I don't want him to have to come in relief in a game and blow a game because it's just out of his normal routine. I'd rather him start 4 innings, get him going, and then start having the bullpen, which the Dodgers bullpen has struggled at times, but their bullpen's pretty darn good. So,
right. And you got to figure, though, because I don't think they'd want him to go out there essentially cold turkey. Hey, you're going out there in 2 days. You're playing in the postseason against whoever they might play in that second round because they'll have to bye. Mm-hmm. So I think, and I know he's not a reliever and they don't want to treat him like one. From a health standpoint, if it were up to me. Clearly, it's not. But I would, the last 2 or 3 games of the regular season, I would let him relieve for an inning or two just to get his arm warmed up again, to get those reps, and then say, okay, how did that go? Should we, what game in the playoff series should we put him in? Should we start him in a game 1 or 2? Or if we have to go all the way to a game 6 or 7, do we throw in Ohtani? I say throw in, obviously, because, again, he's arguably the best pitcher in baseball other than, Skubal, etc. But he hasn't played, though. So I don't know when that time is. Do you relieve him for a couple of games, or do you just throw him out there?
I think it'll be very interesting, and I'm so excited for this postseason. And I know like sometimes the postseason gets buried because of how much NFL and college football is going on, but I think this postseason is going to be fantastic, and we have tons of storylines going into it. And hopefully, the biggest storyline of them all will be how the Tigers sneaked in and are going on a little run.
So who would they play then in the first round? I haven't really looked at that much at the
it's all going to
Tigers.
depend. I think it would probably be the, that's the thing I don't know, because the AL East, the winner of that's probably going to get a bye. So, it might be the other team. So it could be either Baltimore or New York, possibly. I'm not sure. I would have to see like what the
I'll be honest, I'd much rather play Baltimore than New York.
We've historically had New York's number, but they have the bats to beat us. So that,
Yeah, I mean, that'd be an awesome matchup, though. Skubal throwing against Stanton and Judge in the playoffs.
Pretty cool.
And that'd be
pretty cool.
But because we just took 2 out of 3, though, from the Orioles.
Feels pretty good.
That's why I'm somewhat confident either way, whatever team we would play in the first round if the Tigers get in. So, nonetheless, it'll be great because during the week you have Tuesday, Wednesday MAC games for football. But then when the postseason starts, you have Monday Night Football. Tuesday, Wednesday, you have MAC and MLB playoffs. Thursday Night Football, also maybe MLB playoffs. Friday, you have a lower tier college game and our high school game. Saturday, college. Sunday, NFL. Like we have something big every day.
And the beautiful thing about the MLB postseason, they kind of sprinkle those games throughout. So you could get them like every couple years, every couple days, which is pretty cool. And I hope we get TBS doing those broadcasts for the baseball.
Ernie Johnson.
Ernie
TBS.
Johnson. I love Ernie Johnson doing baseball, so I hope we get to see that. And hopefully we get Tigers maybe doing with a Ernie Johnson game.
Ernie, who else? Brian Anderson, who does normally Brewers on Bally.
Great team there.
Yeah, that's 2 different crews, though. I forget who the color guys are.
I just love all of TBS doing baseball. I just think is really good, and it's almost a shame they only mainly do the postseason.
And because Turner's not doing the NBA after this next year, Barkley said he's staying with them. So,
are you about to pitch Barkley being a MLB announcer? What are you?
You know where I'm going with that. Now, hear me out. What else is he going to do, though? Because I guarantee you they're not going to...
He'll do different golf
Right,
events.
but they only do like 2 golf things a year, though, on there. And I don't see them having Barkley do their Friday night low-tier Mountain West college game or the Saturday 10 o'clock game like Sacramento State. Barkley's not doing that.
They might just do something where he still does college basketball, and they might just be keeping him on for the March Madness. And some of it, too, might just be, we don't want him to go somewhere else, so we're just going to pay him to stay him here. That happens a lot, so that could be that as well.
You never know. Maybe he could just chime in the studio for baseball, not be on the call, obviously.
It's just weird, though. A basketball player talking about baseball. Not saying he doesn't know anything about baseball, but it's a weird, it's
well, the way I
different.
look at it is I know Charles plays golf, but if he can do golf, then he...
True, but he's at least connected to golf, like you said, so that at least makes sense. But like him going to baseball is just kind of a weird... I don't know. I'd be curious to see what they do with that.
We could do a whole segment
again,
on
reoccurring bit where we just bring up Charles Barkley when we can.
Yeah, we could fill a whole hour show with just him and the stories he's told.
Yeah, we could.
NFL Week 2 happened. I'll start out with the Cheeseheads because they got the win with Malik Willis. He's only been on the team for 3 weeks. Our center was puking during live play. Doesn't matter. We got the win. 16-10 over the Colts. It was low scoring. Josh Jacobs showing why he's a top running back, 151 yards. Anthony Richardson, 3 picks, including the one at the end. And I know it was low scoring. We didn't look super great, but I'm happy with the win. It's a backup quarterback. You can't ask for a whole lot.
You guys got lucky. Yeah. You guys got lucky. I mean, you have to admit.
This is where it starts.
No, you really did, because I mean, the Colts should have played a lot better. They didn't. There was a lot of opportunities. They should have kicked some field goals, should have converted on fourth downs, and they didn't. You guys got lucky for having a backup quarterback in and still picking up a victory. It's a win is a win. So you guys.
I would partially call it lucky. I would also partially just pretty much state it as we capitalized on those opportunities.
Sure, and the rest of your team played well. I just think Indianapolis, I hate the phrase of like, we didn't lose, we didn't win this game, the other team lost this game, or vice versa. But I really do feel like Indianapolis lost that game, and you guys were just there to win it. But I was more disappointed obviously, I was disappointed about the Lions. I feel like we should have won that game. That was
They should have, and I'm not sure what on earth the clock management was at the end of that game.
Yeah, clock management was an issue. I do like Dan Campbell keeping the timeouts, though. I think that was very big. If we wouldn't have kept the timeouts, we wouldn't have won. We wouldn't have had the chance to win. I guess I'll say that.
Well, I think looking back at that last play, watching it live, like the Lions had that opportunity on that last catch. He had all the room, an out route to get out of bounds. Like you had one more play to take a shot to the end zone, and you throw it up the middle, and the clock runs, and that's it.
Yeah, well, that was obviously not good. Yeah, and then going into half, that wasn't great either. We shouldn't having too many men. That would have been a field goal at least. So yeah, we had some problems. Tampa Bay's a good team. I'm not
Baker's
I'm
on
not
a
upset,
tear, man.
and I'm not upset about losing to a team like Tampa Bay, because Tampa Bay will be a playoff team this year. I think they're going to win that division. Clearly, they have a team that's good enough to do it.
Now, if they lost to like the Bears, it'd be different. But
yeah, but I don't think I think that list might be pretty small this year. That's going to lose to the Bears. I mean,
yeah,
I don't know what teams, do they have Carolina on their schedule? Like, I don't know how many teams.
It'd be Carolina.
At least the Bears kept it close against the Texans, but I don't see them being a, more than a 5-win team this year.
God, the way the Jets look right now. Just saying.
Hey.
Just saying. The Rams. I mean, look at the Rams. The Cardinals killed them.
Marvin Harrison went off in the beginning of the game. In the first quarter, he had 4 catches for 130 yards.
And 2 touchdowns.
Yeah, and 2 touchdowns.
Including the leaping one. That was...
Oh, man. Balled out.
Just watching the Red Zone channel, they kept cutting back to the Cardinals. I'm like, what happened? Yeah. It's the Cardinals. And they normally wouldn't show them that much.
Cooper Kupp getting out. So now you're down by a lot with no Cooper Kupp, no Puka Nacua.
I almost started Stafford over Lamar.
Ooh, that wouldn't have been
glad
good.
I didn't. Especially because we played each other.
That's right. Okay. You deserve it, so you can go off and say what happened.
Oh, I'm not going to talk anymore. I'm just.
It's not over
glad.
Yet.
Well, I'm winning by however much it is.
It's not over yet.
I'm not worried about it.
We got Barkley, and
especially
Drake London.
when I've got the hoe kicking tonight.
Oh yeah,
so.
You got Young Ho Koo. I keep forgetting that you have.
I really shouldn't call it the hoe, but Young Ho kicking. Lions 2016, Tampa. Packers win 16-10 over the Colts. Quickly, a couple other NFL games. The Saints embarrassed the Cowboys.
It's always fun. Always fun to see the Cowboys get embarrassed.
And I thought Tom Brady did a lot better in the booth.
Yeah, and that's the funny thing. With Red Zone and watching with buddies, it's really hard to listen to the commentary. I want to sit down and listen to his commentary. I keep forgetting to. Maybe I'll do that today before the game, just to kind of get an idea. But you thought he did well?
I thought he did a lot better. I thought last week was just nerves and
getting into it. Yeah, for sure.
I thought he did great yesterday.
Good.
Seattle pulls off an overtime win at New England.
Metcalf played well.
My brother's a Seattle fan, so he was not happy.
He's a Seattle fan?
I know.
How'd that happen?
I don't ask me.
How do we have a Seattle fan and a Green Bay fan in Michigan?
Don't ask me. The Cardinals beat the you-know-what out of the Rams. The Raiders pull off the upset at Baltimore. Lamar was my quarterback. Why he didn't keep running on the last play, I don't know. I want to throw this camera because of that, but I'm not going to. Kansas City got away with a win. And I'm pretty sure Mahomes thought, the head official was Dick Bavetta, like how Charles kissed Dick Bavetta. Same thing happened again with Kansas City. Oh, and Jaden Daniels got his first win, late field goal for Washington over the Giants. So, any other nuggets that stood out to you from the NFL?
Tack onto the Jaden Daniels thing. He did play well. He's looking pretty good so far, and he's mobile and he looks great. I just don't know how good that Commanders team is going to be. I'm really not a fan of that defense. I don't think that defense is going to stay. But we're talking about the Giants. The Giants are in the same tier for me. So whoever was going to win that game, it was one of those they have to win games. But I'm just going back to the Lamar play. I thought that Lamar, he should have definitely ran that in. I agree with you. And the forward pass afterwards was bad. But I get Lamar's trying to keep that play going, and I understand. He's starting to see, when you look at the view from behind him, that hole was starting to collapse. So he thought to himself, I got to keep this play alive. But it's
which I totally get. But then where it all screwed up was the forward pass. It was
for sure. But I'm not to take away blame for that with him, but that defense has to play better. Those linebackers are not playing well. They played a little bit better today, this week. But
not that Gardner Minshew's a horrible quarterback, but he's not it's the Raiders.
They're getting
and it's
chewed
Lamar
up.
Jackson.
They're getting chewed up on slants and out routes. But that offense is, to me, is kind of the weird question, because they have moments where they're extremely good, and then there's times where Lamar just can't move the ball down the field.
Coming into the season, you would have never thought Jim Harbaugh was 2-0 and John was 0-2.
Unreal.
So it's just unreal.
Yeah.
So when we come back, I've got a high school sports update, a couple other sports happening over the weekend, and we'll be live from Michigan Center on Friday. So we will wrap up when we come back. Welcome back here on JTV. Back to wrap it up. D. Rice, Adam back with you. Of course, we'll be back for a Wednesday show, Hump Day. We'll have our picks for Week 4 of high school football, and we'll have a big preview there. So really looking forward to Wednesday's show, and we'll make our picks for some good college games coming up, including Michigan and another big game.
Ooh, USC. That is going to be interesting. And we will have our running list. We will do the research. We will have what our records are.
We will have it.
Yes.
You got to trust me on that.
Yes.
We will have correct math, too. Not my math, but we will have correct math.
We'll run it through somebody else to make sure.
Real quick here before we go, a lot of high school sports happening again on Saturday. You can wrap up, check out the whole wrap-up weekend scoreboard on jtv.tv. Couple volleyball matches. Lumen Christi won in straight sets on Saturday. Western went 2-1 at Mason. Napoleon went down to Chargertown, Union City, and went 3-1 at the Union City Invitational. Yellow Jackets from the Concord finished 6th as a team at Mendon. They did better there in cross country than they played against Mendon in football the day before on Friday. So, boys soccer, Lumen Christi got an 8-1 win. Western tied, and Lumen Christi finished 3rd at the quad meet in tennis. We'll be live Friday night from Michigan Center, a big Cascades East matchup. Their star quarterback Joel Cranmore and the Leslie Blackhawks 3-0 with head coach Tim McCann going to the 1-2 Michigan Center Cardinals. I didn't think I'd be saying 1-2 Michigan Center.
No way.
Any first thoughts, Adam, on Friday's game here between Leslie and Center?
I think high-scoring game is what I'm predicting. I love Michigan Center. I think they're always play really hard and always have a really good team on the field, but and are disciplined. But Leslie looks so good this year. It's going to be so hard to beat Leslie. So I think it'll be a fun matchup, though. I think, like I said, high scoring should be fun.
But it'll also be Leslie's first real test.
That's right.
I mean, let's keep it real here, because they played Homer, they played Stockbridge, and they've played Vandercook. Now, I'm not downing those 3 teams. Those are 3 teams that are struggling. So this will be Leslie's first real test. And Center's 1-2. But their 2 losses were against Lumen Christi.
Since quality teams.
Nobody's beating Lumen.
Well, one team did.
Well, that was a shock. But and they also lost to a really good Hanover team, which was another shocker that Hanover's 3-0. Congratulations to their program. And they just snuck by Jonesville. So this will be an interesting matchup because we know Center has the weapons. We know they're better than 1 and 2. And Leslie also hasn't had a big test yet until this Friday. So, and I won't be there. You guys will be there. I will be watching live, though, in and out. I will be watching. So.
I forgot. What game did you say you're going to, or do you not?
I will be at Columbia Addison.
Nice.
You can watch highlights of that coming up Friday night after the game. And I will stop over to my school, Grass Lape, as Braden Lape and the Warriors take on Cascades East foe, the East Jackson Trojans. So, again, any other photos and daily scores from all of our sports around the area, college and high school, at JTV.tv. That's going to do it for today. Thanks to Potocki Orthodontics and the Insurance Circle Agency. That's Adam. I'm David Rice. Thanks for watching and listening, and we will talk to you on Hump Day. Bye-bye. Welcome to today's show here on JTV. Happy Monday. It does feel like a Monday to me.
It is Monday, man.
I'm David Rice. That's Adam. Hello, Adam.
Hey, dude. How's it going, man? How are you feeling on this Monday?
Okay. We'll go okay.
That works.
Because the Packers won, the Lions lost, and Michigan won.
Yeah.
That was a great weekend on that part. And we had a great weekend of high school football, too. And thank you to the Insurance Circle Agency. So appreciate them. Let's get right into it. Week 3 of high school football. Let's start with the rivalry renewed. The Pirates kept the jug as they beat Columbia Central and came back in the second half. 22-13. They finished 234 rushing yards in that wing T offense on 48 carries. Napoleon now 2-1. The young Pirates team traveling to Manchester for a big Cascades East showdown this coming Friday. Columbia falls to 0-3. Nobody had that on their bingo card going into this season. They play Addison. I will be at that game. More on that later in the show. St. Michael's of Canada came all the way down to Jackson to play Lumen Christi, and didn't go so well for them. Lumen Christi with a 44-0 win. Kenyon Bashinsky got his chance to shine with Cadale Williams being out. He scored 3 touchdowns for Lumen Christi. Also scoring for them, Amarian Clay, Rayberg, and Tommy King. They still ran, even though without Williams. 4 other Titans ran for a total of 300 yards in the contest. Cadale Williams will be back in the next week or two. They have a big game coming up. They travel to Detroit U of D Jesuit on Friday. Michigan Center got a low-scoring Cascades East-West victory, 14-6 over Jonesville. We had separate picks on that game. I'll have to go back after the show and see how we...
Yeah, we got to see our running record on that and see who's doing better.
I'll have to go back a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
My math usually isn't good, so I'll need verification.
I can do that for you.
Center over Jonesville, 14-6. Both Jonesville and Center are now 1-2. Center's homecoming is this Friday, and they will take on undefeated Leslie, and we'll have that live on JTV. More details later on. Manchester over Homer, 44-0. The Flying Dutchman, 328 rushing yards, and they held Homer to less than 50 yards of offense on Friday. So Manchester hosting Napoleon, and Homer will host Vandercook Lake in a Cascades West matchup. The game that we were at, you saw live on JTV, 28-8. Western got a big win over Marshall in an I-8 battle. Brody Vitito, the quarterback, too, normally playing tight end, threw for 172 passing yards, and Maverick Hammond was our player of the game. He had 3 touchdowns and 137 receiving yards. While we're looking at highlights here, Adam, anything that stood out to you from this game with Western?
You know, that was the thing, like watching the highlights, it just felt like kind of Western. And, you know, obviously being there and seeing how Western dominated that game. I don't know. I feel like Marshall kind of was really never in that game. I felt like Western kind of just started off hot and just took over. And I would love to see Marshall go up against maybe lesser opponents, because I do think Western is going to be a top tier team this season.
And it was low scoring for Western. It was 28-8. But just like you mentioned from the beginning, Marshall was, let's be honest, they were never in this game.
It was tough for them to move the ball. That was one thing I noticed, that it was just like early on, and talking with Brandon watching that game, it was just like they were just really struggling moving the ball. They were making mistakes, but the reason it wasn't as, as much of a blowout as it could have been, I think really was Western did make mistakes. And if they want to be that team, they can't make some of those mistakes they did. I think they fumbled it at one point.
They had the fumble, which will be in our top plays coming up.
Yep.
But I think a couple of Marshall's best plays were those keepers by the quarterback, and he ran for like 15 or 16 yards. Those were their best offensive plays.
Right.
And they have a couple of exceptional skill players that they don't have a bad quarterback or a running back.
And they got some speed on that team too,
Right. I think Marshall they'll be okay. It's just they're not quite there yet this year.
Right.
I think it'll be another year or two before they really start competing in their conference. So full game highlights online at JTV.tv. Western 3-0, and they travel to Hastings this Friday.
That should be an interesting match.
Oh, it will be in a key I-8 battle. We'll talk about Hastings in a couple of minutes. They played another local team in an I-8 battle. Addison over EJ, 46-8. Addison going to Columbia Central this Friday. EJ 0-3 will be on the road at Grass Lake, and I will be there as well, so I'm looking forward to watching Columbia and then Grass Lake. Speaking of Grass Lake, this was a big shocker, at least to me, coming into this game. We knew it was going to be a high-scoring shootout, but Hanover stomped Grass Lake at their place at Cometland, 49-21. The Comets had more than 500 yards of offense in a 49-21 win. Luke Soper, the quarterback, with, of course, wing T offense, but 3 of 3 passing. They only had 3 passes and 102 passing yards.
I don't know how that's how I can't believe you can score almost 50 points. I can't believe there's enough time to score 50 points just running the ball.
We've watched it with Addison.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Braden Lape still threw for 372 yards and 3 scores.
Still had a good game.
And scored 21 points.
Yeah.
So it's like, how does that happen?
Wild.
Grass Lake again will host East Jackson. Grass Lake will go to 2-1, and Hanover 3-0. They're the front runner right now in the Cascades West, and they take on 1-2 Jonesville. So that'll be an interesting game. Other scores, Leslie still lighting up the scoreboard. 62 points on Friday over Vandercook, 62-12. Again, their quarterback, Cranmore, another big game for him. 5 touchdowns, 359 yards, and he accounted for all 9 touchdowns for Leslie. 5 passing, 4 rushing. He had 80 rushing yards. Leslie 3-0.
That's got to be some sort of record for Leslie, right? Like, I almost want to look back at those books. Yeah. That's crazy.
Yeah, we don't have a research department here, but
right,
we will. Yeah. We will have to go to the research, though. That was Leslie's playing exceptional.
Unbelievable.
Right now. And that's going to be a hell of a game against Michigan Center coming up Friday.
I can't wait to see him. I can't wait to see that matchup.
Leslie at Michigan Center on JTV. More details on that coming up. Springport is 3-0. Good for that program and Coach Ben Pack. They beat Sand Creek 36-12. They will play at Stockbridge on Friday. Another big one here. 8-man Mendon. They were up 72-20 at halftime.
No, that was at halftime.
That was at halftime.
Holy moly.
84-20 over the Jackets. Quarterback Evan Risky for Concord still had 225 passing yards. Concord 2-1 going to Britton Deerfield for a Big 8 conference contest. Britton Deerfield. I'm not sure if you'll have cell service out there in Britton Deerfield.
Might be tough. Might be tough to get. I don't know if AT&T reaches out there.
I don't even know if Verizon reaches out there. AT&T, Sprint, T-Mobile. Cricket Wireless
Well,
can't
we
even get
know
out
Cricket ain't getting
there.
out there.
I'm not sure. Mentioned Northwest earlier. They fell to Hastings 48-6. Game highlights online, of course, seeing them now, but you can watch more highlights at JTV.tv. Thanks to Matt Kibbe, as always, for going out there. The Mounties fell at home in an Interstate 8 matchup. Northwest now 0-3. That's another shocking one coming into the season. Nobody had a clue Northwest was going to start out 0-3. They host Coldwater this Friday for a I-8 kickoff. So Hastings 48, Northwest 6. Highlights online on our Facebook page at JTV Sports. And Jackson High got a big win, key SEC win over Tecumseh, 28-20. For the first time in 5 years, Jay High, and for the first time under Coach Antonio Parker, the Vikings are 3-0. That's great for the Vikings team, by the way.
That is awesome. And, you love to see them playing well against a good Tecumseh team as well. It's not like this Tecumseh team isn't on the ball. They are a great team, and that was a close game, but super happy Jackson got the win. Couldn't have happened to a better coach and a better
it was
team.
on their Pink Viking night too.
And
so
what a night to have that. Yeah, that was great. Good for everybody involved.
Coming into the season, I don't think anybody expected I think some people expected them to win 3 games or 4, because coming in, it was a much different team than what they've had. The way they were running their offense is a lot different this year than what they have been. They just didn't have the same team. So for them to start 3-0 was awesome. And we got a chance to talk to Jackson back Blair Pippin and quarterback Kyron Stamper after their big win over Tecumseh. Here it is.
My team, everybody held on to their blocks. I was able to move the ball up the field. Everybody was doing their job on defense, so I was able to move around and do my job. And we're having a lot of fun. We're looking forward to going 9-0, making a long, deep run in the playoffs. Everybody just got to stay locked in at practice. We got to lock in, no playing around. We got to keep our head on straight so we can be 4-0 next week.
Our offensive line really was consistent. We kept the energy up. We really talked to the slots this week about how the outside linebackers would come off that edge, setting that edge, make sure we can get to the outside and setting our speed. And after that, it's wraps. It's a game changer. It's a game changer for sure. With the speed we got, it's not really many teams who can keep up and stop everything with all the speed we got. The defense rallied to the ball real good. Our defensive ends contained real good too. We knew they wanted to come in here and run up the quarterback because of film, and we just had to take them out the game. We had to take them out the game early. Next week, we got to stay consistent. We start at the beginning of the practice, start on Sunday, film Sunday, and really just come to practice and staying focused, not joking around, not talking. When the coach is talking, really just staying consistent.
So congratulations to Jackson, 3-0 for the first time since 2019. They will play at Pinckney this week, 7 o'clock kickoff. And Stockbridge fell to Bronson, 26-20. They will host Springport, who's 3-0 in a Big 8 battle. We still got a full show to get to. When we come back, we have our Potocki Orthodontics top 5 plays of the week from Western's 28-8 win over Marshall. Hey, and the Tigers took 2 of 3 from the Orioles. We're talking baseball later in the show, too. So a lot more coming up, brought to you by the Insurance Circle Agency. Stay tuned.